You think she destroyed you, but the truth is she only triggered something that was already within you. It wasn't the end that broke you. It was how much you lost yourself trying to be the man she wanted. You grew up believing that love was about giving yourself completely, that when you found someone special, you should make everything work. Be the ideal partner, the present guy, understanding, loyal. You thought that would be enough, that if you were the different one, she would never have a reason to leave you. But one day, she distanced herself. Maybe she didn't even say why. Maybe she changed her tone, suddenly grew distant, or simply disappeared. And you were left there, trying to understand how someone could leave your life as easily as they entered. But the truth, the one no one says, is that it wasn't her actions that destroyed you. It was everything you put into her. All your validation, your sense of worth, your peace, your purpose. You transferred all of that to someone, and when she left, she took with her everything you didn't build within yourself. You weren't ready to lose because you never learned to live standing alone. And no matter how much you say you love her, that you miss her, that you would do things differently, none of that changes the fact that you placed a responsibility on her that was never hers, to fill what you never tried to understand. She didn't distance herself out of malice. She distanced herself because she felt the weight, because she realized that you depended on her more than you depended on yourself. And no woman wants to carry a man who is always trying to be accepted, instead of living as someone who knows what they are doing here. Maybe you were kind, patient, affectionate, but you were also fragile, passive, lost, and deep down, she saw that before you did. She saw that you needed her more than you needed yourself, and that inversion is the beginning of the end. What knocked you down wasn't the end of the relationship. It was the realization that without someone by her side, you don't know who you are. And now that she's gone, you feel an emptiness that's not about her. It's about you, about the absence of yourself, about the man you abandoned long ago, when you thought love was the solution to everything. But maybe, and only maybe, this pain you feel now is the push you needed to finally start becoming who you should have been before any relationship. The truth is that a lot of men today are completely disconnected from their own identity. They live on autopilot, spinning around everyone else's expectations rather than their own convictions. You adapt to the environment, please those around you, try to keep everything under control. But inside, there's a silent void that you've learned to ignore. You wake up, work, try to fulfill your duties, maintain appearances, but you don't feel purpose. You don't know why you do what you do. You just know you have to keep going, because stopping would mean facing something you've been avoiding for years. The truth that you don't know yourself, don't respect yourself, and don't trust yourself. That's why, when a woman enters your life and gives you attention, you cling to it as if it were a chance for redemption, as if she were proof that you're still someone of value. But this emotional dependence is treacherous. You're not there to build something with her. You're there to hide from yourself. And that's the root of the problem, because she feels it. She notices when you're not whole, when you act like a mirror, trying to reflect what she wants instead of showing who you truly are. And that's not strength, it's fear. fear of being rejected for being authentic, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. But the irony is that the man who doesn't own who he is will never be respected, because there's no respect without firmness. And there's no firmness in someone who's always adapting. You don't need to be aggressive, controlling, or distant to be respected. But you need to be solid. You need to have an opinion. You need to have direction. And that's not built by trying to please. It's built by facing everything you're afraid to look at. Your insecurity, your indecision, your need for approval. As long as you don't resolve that within yourself, you'll keep seeking women to extinguish that internal fire. And none will succeed, because this hole can't be filled with company. It can only be closed with courage. Back in the day, before our generation got everything mixed up, the ancients knew one simple thing. Either a man masters himself, or he will be mastered by everything around him. Socrates said that within every man there's a war between three forces: reason, appetite, and spirit. Reason is what thinks, appetite is what desires, and spirit is what is outraged by wrong. It's what rises when the soul is disrespected. The problem is that today, most people live under the command of appetite. You feel desire, go after it. You feel neediness, look for affection. You feel anger, react. It's a life without access, without consciousness, without criteria. And this might seem human, but it's not masculine, at least not in the deep sense of the word, because being a man isn't being brute or reactive or vulnerable all the time. Being a man is being whole, and wholeness requires inner mastery. That's where most people get lost, because controlling others is easy. The hard part is controlling what you feel. The hard part is looking at a beautiful, intelligent woman who attracts you in every way and still maintaining your clarity. Not surrendering, not becoming a servant of her approval, but only this man, the one who masters himself, is capable of being respected by her. A woman doesn't surrender to someone who tries to please all the time. She surrenders to someone who has presence, to someone who has firmness without needing to raise their voice, to someone who doesn't fall apart emotionally with every conflict. And this is not learned through ready-made phrases or motivational videos. This is built with discipline, with awareness, with decision. You don't need to eliminate your desire, but you need to place it in the right spot. You need to make the appetite obey reason, and not the other way around. Because when a man bends for a kiss, he forgets how to stand tall. You think she tests you, provokes you, changes for no reason. But what if I told you that she's not doing any of this to manipulate you, but to reveal you? Because that's what she does. She doesn't come to complete you. She comes to show you what's missing. A woman is a mirror. She doesn't create your weaknesses. She simply reflects them. When you feel insecure because she doesn't respond right away, the problem isn't her silence. It's your desperation for control. When she doesn't validate you and you feel rejected, the problem isn't her indifference. It's your dependence on approval. And when you change your tone, your posture, your opinions just to avoid losing her, you've already lost yourself. She didn't destroy anything. You tore yourself apart. A woman doesn't break a man. She only reveals where he's already cracked. And you know what's most curious? The more you try to please, the more she distances herself. Because what truly attracts a woman is not a man who adapts to her. It's a man who remains who he is with or without her applause. She may even love you, but she will never trust a man who doesn't trust himself. You want to understand why she changed? Why she grew cold? Why she lost interest? Maybe it wasn't a rational choice. Maybe it was instinctive. Something in her sensed that you were no longer yourself, that you were trying to win someone over instead of living your truth. And the feminine energy is sensitive to this. It detects it. It responds. You want her love, but you haven't built respect for yourself yet. You want her body, but you can't handle her silence. You want her presence, but you still don't know how to stand on your own. So, she leaves or shuts herself off, not as punishment, but as consequence, because she's not there to save you. She's there to mirror you, and if you have the courage to look honestly, you'll realize that the pain didn't come from her. The pain came from seeing, finally, who you really are when there's no one trying to complete you. There comes a moment when you need to stop blaming others. Stop pointing outward. Stop hiding behind trauma, the absence of a father, the abandonment of your mother, the woman who left you, the one who cheated, the one who didn't know how to value you. Enough. Life isn't going to stop to console you, and no one, absolutely no one, is going to come save you. Not your friends, not the next woman, not God, if you keep waiting with your arms crossed. There's a point where a man must decide. Either you become the pillar of your own existence, or you'll spend your life emotionally dragging yourself from relationship to relationship, always waiting for someone to rebuild you. But that won't happen. And the good news is, it doesn't need to. You don't need anyone to start. You only need one thing: responsibility. To admit without fear that you were the one who allowed it, that you were the one who lost yourself, that you were the one who gave up on yourself, and that now you're the one who will rebuild everything with calm, with firmness, with truth. Sovereignty begins when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop trying to convince the world that you're good enough and simply become. When you no longer need validation to walk tall, to speak your mind, to follow your mission. And that changes everything. Because the man who carries clarity within himself doesn't bend. He listens, but doesn't get contaminated. He feels, but doesn't drown. He loves, but doesn't lose himself. The woman may leave, the world may doubt, but he continues, because his value is in no one's hands. This is the difference between a boy trying to be accepted and a man who has already chosen himself. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You only need to fulfill what you were born to do. The very posture says it all. The sovereign man doesn't beg. He doesn't justify himself. He doesn't panic. He lives, and by living with truth, he is naturally respected. A man's transformation doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't begin when he gets a new job, buys a better car, or enters a new relationship. The real turning point begins when he stops, silences, and looks at himself in the mirror with brutal honesty. No excuses, no self-deception, no more ready-made speeches of, "I'm trying to improve." It's in this moment that he understands that the pain was just a sign, that the loss was necessary, that what seemed like the end was actually the beginning. Because everything that collapses on the outside reveals what was unstructured on the inside. that's when he starts to do what he's been avoiding for years. Go back within. Go back to discipline. Go back to integrity. Go back to the mission he abandoned trying to be accepted. And no one sees this process. No one applauds. There are no motivational posts, no applause. There's silence. There are bad days. There are setbacks. But there's also something new growing, roots. You realize you're changing, not when the world notices, but when you start respecting yourself. When you speak less, promise less, defend yourself less, and act more. You stop negotiating your principles. You stop chasing after those who ignore you. You stop insisting where you know you're not valued. You understand that a man is not what he feels. He's what he chooses to do with what he feels. Transformation begins when you get tired of being a hostage to yourself and decide you won't live as if you're only half. You don't need to be hard, but you need to be whole. You need to be reliable to yourself. Only then will the world trust you too. This is the new man, the one who's not trying to prove anything, the one who's not in a hurry, the one who builds slowly but builds right, because he knows everything that is real will align with him at the right time. When a man rebuilds himself from the inside, the game changes. He doesn't talk about it, doesn't post impactful quotes, doesn't try to convince anyone that now it's different. He simply is. He doesn't need to prove himself anymore because now he has direction. He has criteria. He has presence. And his presence is felt in the silence. He enters a room and doesn't compete. He doesn't need to be the funniest, the most desired, the most impressive. He just needs to be whole. And when it comes to women, everything changes too, because he no longer enters a relationship to feel loved. He enters whole. And because he's whole, he's free. Free to leave when he's not respected. Free to say what he thinks without fear of losing. Free to listen without absorbing everything as criticism. And this, for the feminine, is magnetic. Because a woman feels when she's in front of a man who doesn't need her, not out of coldness, but out of completeness. A man who chooses to be with her, not one who begs to be chosen. He doesn't need to prove he's good. He shows it by being. He doesn't seek her validation. He brings clarity and firmness to the relationship. He knows how to lead, knows how to say no, knows how to wait, knows how to withdraw without drama when he realizes he's not being respected. And this generates something else, mutual respect. She stops testing because he doesn't react like a boy. She aligns. Because he's coherent, she relaxes. Because he transmits emotional stability, not neediness. And this doesn't come from ready-made phrases. It doesn't come from videos. It doesn't come from conquest tactics. It comes from deep work, done in silence back when he chose to grow instead of victimizing himself. You can keep dragging yourself, blaming the past, abandonment, trauma. You can keep waiting for recognition, waiting for someone to come back, waiting for the world to understand your pain, or you can rise now, not out of pride, but out of honor. You've spent too much time being a spectator of your own life, waiting for signs, wasting time with distractions, giving your energy to people who never deserved access to your heart. Wake up. You're alive. And if you're alive, there's still time. Time to turn the game around. Time to build something with roots, with truth, with strength. But no one is going to do this for you. You want peace? Then start living with clarity. You want respect? Start positioning yourself. You want love? Learn to love yourself when no one else is watching. Because the man who only feels valuable when someone is around still hasn't understood anything. He's fragile, reactive, dependent, and the world swallows men like that. But you weren't born to be carried. You were born to carry, to guide, to sustain. So the choice is yours. Keep being the shadow of what you could be, or start today to become everything you know you are, but haven't yet had the courage to embody. And it won't be easy. It will hurt. It will take time. It will require silence, discipline, firmness. But one day, you'll wake up, look around, and realize, I'm not the same anymore. And thank God, I'll never be again. You don't need to tell anyone that you're changing. You don't need to prove you understood. You just need to start. Discreetly, but firmly. With small daily decisions that over time will rebuild you from the inside out. And if one day you cross paths with another man at the same blind spot where you've been, don't preach, don't point fingers, just share with words, with presence, with attitude. Because in the end, that's what changes the world. Lucid men who walk with awareness and courage and help others do the same. There's no secret. There's responsibility and the decision to no longer be a hostage to your own weakness. If this decision has already started in you, then great. The rest is continuity, and you'll realize over time that the silence of reconstruction is worth more than any loud affirmation. You're ready. Now walk.